This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only two-time PWG Battle of Los Angeles champion, King Ricochet, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open Podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 173. My name is Nick Howell.
And catching that Fox News, I'm Fox News famous from getting that Chris Jericho Twitter heat. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and I'm Sasha Banksing to start off the show today. I'm
not sure if that's something you ever truly aspired to, Sir Ian Dangerous.
It certainly is not, but yeah, thanks, Chris, for shouting me out on Twitter. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're going home to Full Gear, which is going on right after this show today. Yeah, we're gonna try and squeeze this thing in time. But Full Gear is coming up right after our show today, as well as our listener mailbag episode. But Nick, we've got a ton to get to right now. We got to talk about Wednesday night, which had AEW going home to Full Gear and NXT blowing the roof off the place. And we also have to talk about last night's Smackdown, unfortunately,
yes.
Which very lackluster show, and I can't wait to sink our teeth into that and try to tear it apart. But before we have to do that, Nick, we have to do our housekeeping.
Yes.
And then we can get into the meat of the show.
Lots of housekeeping to get into today, guys. You definitely want to find us over on Facebook. Search for Busted Wide Open on Facebook. Like our page, and then send us a join request to get into our Busted Wide Open discussion group with all of the rest of the phenomenal ones. We are going to be doing a watch party for the Full Gear buy-in pre-show that'll be happening tonight. So make sure you're in the group and you want to be in there to live chat with us. We can all watch it together. It's a lot of fun, but you got to be in the group to be able to see that. In addition, at the top of the group, you'll also find a pinned post with a link to our Discord community, which is a separate application where we have all the controls and we have live chats 24/7 all the time, including Full Gear tonight, upcoming for Survivor Series in a couple of weeks, and all other shows all throughout the week. To keep all the spoilers out of the Facebook group, let's keep them in the Discord with live chats, and that is continuing to grow. So make sure you get in our Facebook. Make sure you get into our Discord community right after that. Secondly, you can find us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast, streaming live right here on YouTube every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's youtube.com/bustedwideopen. You can find us here. Make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you get alerted and notified anytime we put up new videos, which we're going to be doing a lot more of going forward, and put up new events for all of our live streams. That way you get a quick little reminder about 30 minutes before. You can settle in and enjoy the show. Shout out to the live chat. I see all of you in there chatting already. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you guys for always being here on the live streams. It's why we live stream it. We want to interact with all of you guys while we're doing the shows. Last but certainly not least, Patreon. Patreon.com/BWO. Want to give a big shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you for all of your support every single month. You guys are the fuel that keeps this machine running that is Busted Wide Open, and we want to thank you as much as we can because it continues to just grow and grow, and that's one of the best ways that you can contribute and get access to exclusives like the ability to ask listener questions for our patron mailbag, which we'll be doing right after this show, so don't go anywhere. Stick around. We'll have a patron mailbag episode number 6 up for you, as well as getting access to bonus episodes at the $10 tier and all kinds of good stuff above and beyond that. Patreon.com/BWO is where you want to be for that. But Ian, we don't have a lot of big news this week, but we have certainly got
we don't.
lot of stuff to talk about.
We do. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We got to get it done right now because Full Gear is coming right after we're done. It's going to start, the pre-show starting at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. And it's coming right up. If you want to watch that, it's going to be on BR Live or Fight TV if you're international for $50. We'll be there. We'll be there on Discord. It's going to be a lot of fun. Nick, I'm still salty. I botched my intro today, but hey, we're live, pal.
Yeah.
We can't wait. So that means we have to go over and talk about AEW.
Cody this week might have given one of those promos that 10 to 15 years from now we're going to look back on and go, that was one of those promos. And
it was certainly really good.
It was fantastic. And the build between him and Jericho over the last couple of months has been fantastic. And I think this was a great way. Look, there's going to be a theme to this show, and it's going to be Nick screaming, "That's how you do a go-home show! From now on, when you do a go-home show, you do that."
Yep.
This was exactly the way they wanted to have their last showing, and then we got a special AEW Dark out of nowhere last night to lead into to recap everything. Man, they know what they're doing over there, and that gives me a lot of hope. But yeah, let's break down what happened this week on AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, because I agree, they had a lot of good stuff on the show, a lot of good go-home stuff, good final image, and they definitely had some places where they stumbled, but if they hadn't stumbled, I think I would have been I would have been incredulous if they hadn't stumbled at least a little bit at this point. But that being said, overall, did some great stuff. Like you said, Cody came out and was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone in the ring about his upcoming match with Chris Jericho. And he started off comparing himself to Cowboy Bill Watts, Eddie Graham, his own dad, Dusty Rhodes, talking about himself being an executive and a wrestler at the same time and how to balance those two things. And it was a very apt, I think, thing to call out the elephant in the room. People have been criticizing the fact that, well, it's his company. Yep. Why is he going for the belt? That's a very good point. It could be easy to say, outside of kayfabe, oh, it's ego. Inside of kayfabe, you could say, well, you're an executive, you're pulling all the strings. So it was good for him to talk about that in that sense. And then to take it one step beyond and make it personal with Jericho, show that the feud is beyond business. It is personal. It's more that he just doesn't like this guy, and they've had words. And in that sense, when he went after Jericho and the things that Jericho said about him, that's where he got really fired up. He started saying, "Oh, you accused me of having a silver spoon. You were raised by a famous hockey dad in Canada, dick," which is not a word you hear often. No. Which was nice to hear. But that was the point where the crowd really started getting fired up, where he started getting fired up. You could tell he put up a lot of emotion into this promo. He had a nice build. He started it with some foundations, and then built it into the emotion. A great promo. Felt organic. Felt like he had written it, and it was scripted, but he had written But here's the thing. Not all speeches need to sound totally off the cuff. If you're actually going to go out and say something in real life, you might actually write something for yourself, right? You might have an idea of what you want to say. And that was the case here, where it felt like he knew what he wanted to say. He knew his points that he wanted to get across. But how he got there was a little bit more organic, and he said it in his own voice. Sure. Which is one of the reasons why it was such a great promo from a technical standpoint. I think the real point that they wanted to pull here was, and that was a thing that he said is, yes, I'm an executive. Yes, I'm going for the title. But if I lose here, I will not challenge for this title again. I'm guaranteeing I won't challenge for the title again. And I think that is, I don't think any of us had any illusions. I don't think a lot of people thought Cody was going to win this match. I think that really puts the nail in the coffin, though, because I don't think Cody should be challenging for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. I don't think he should be in the title picture. If he wants to have a grudge feud because someone's messing with him, a la Shawn Spears, fine, that's great. And you can get some really good TV out of that and really good program out of that. But I don't think he should be challenging for the title. I think the only reason to do it now is because, interestingly enough, Cody has been the most interesting babyface character in AEW so far. Would you agree? Like, who else is who? I mean, you've got how many interesting guys over there, but the guy who's connecting with the fans the most, the guy who's giving the best promos, who's having the best video packages made about him, best feuds, it's been Cody. Think about all the pay-per-views they've had so far. Who had the standout matches, the ones you remember, not the big stunt fests, but the ones, the stories, the stuff that you remember those matches for, the feeling.
Would we, let me play devil's advocate though. Would we be as excited about AEW as we have been throughout the year if Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny, who are all executives in AEW, had not been performers in the ring? I don't think so.
No, of course, they're bringing their cachet-ass performers to this, and they have to walk that line.
Yeah.
And I think that is definitely has been a dangerous thing for all three of those groups, for the Young Bucks, Kenny, and for Cody, and they're all going at it in different ways. The Young Bucks are putting over some of this younger tag division and jump-starting the tag division on their own backs by losing to some of these guys. You've got Kenny Omega, who's telling the story of, him being at the top of the world and then kind of losing his way.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great storyline, and I think ultimately will pay off if they continue to go on this trajectory with it. But then you have Cody, who I think they've done the right thing with, where they've looked at him and said, despite all odds, and despite, I think, the perception of Cody coming in as being the outlier of that group, certainly the guy who's had the least world exposure and has, I think, I'm trying to think how to put it, but he's definitely the least highly regarded as an in-ring worker. I'll put it that way.
Which one? Who are you referring to?
Cody.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Of
like
the elite, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
he was a mid-carder in WWE, for better or for worse, and that's not necessarily his fault, but that's just, hey, perception is reality. No one saw him as a main eventer.
Sure.
And then when he went out on his own, he was main eventing some smaller companies, but in the bigger companies, he was definitely lower on the mid-card still. And he was a curiosity. He had some good matches, but no classics. And I don't think that anyone looked at him and said he's one of the best in the world. But since they started working on AEW, he's been consistently putting together the best, most interesting programs, whether it's against his brother, whether it's against Shawn Spears, Nick Aldis.
Yeah.
Right? He's had the most interesting feuds. Kenny hasn't. Kenny's had some great one-off matches, but that's about it. Young Bucks, same thing, one-off matches. But they're not story-driven. They're action-driven.
Well, the AAA title stuff with Lucha Brothers earlier this year was fun. The back and forth of it.
It was, but, what was the story beyond they're trading the title?
Yeah, good point.
As far as I think it's smart to have, whether it was intended or not, have Cody be the focal point of your first major emotional storyline. And you can build into Kenny later. You've got guys. You have a ton of guys you can start making interesting stories about down the road. But I think the smart thing for AEW to do, and it seems like it's what they're doing, as opposed to the WWE model, where you have one or two top guys, and everything's about them always.
Yeah.
You have a number of top guys, and you do 6 to 9 months, or maybe a year, with each guy, where you tell their story, and then you rotate, right? And there's lots of companies that have done that. Most recently, and we always seem to bring it up, Lucha Underground like to rotate its top guys, keep things fresh, right? So, and I think it's a great thing to do when you have a roster this deep with top-level talent, guys who could main event, guys who feel like they could main event. I think it's very worthwhile to do that. And I think that this week, Cody proved that he should be the guy right now with this promo.
Yeah, I think this was a great way to put some stakes on it, so to speak. Do we picture Cody, if Tony Khan is the Vince McMahon of AEW, to draw lines between the two? Is Cody looking more like a Triple H character that sometimes wrestles but is also kind of wearing a headset behind the curtain?
I mean, you can draw lines between the two, but I don't think that they're direct comparisons.
Okay, well, I'm just talking about like organizationally, not really comparing the individuals.
I mean, maybe in the sense that Cody could act as that kind of authority figure. I just would prefer that he wouldn't, because we've seen it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The smart thing for them to do is not to give us something we've seen before. And, you can draw on the past because there's always in wrestling been authority figures who come in and dictate how the show moves. But to do it in the way that Triple H did, to run the company in the way that Vince did, or as the characters on screen, don't do that note for note again.
No.
Certainly. So that's why I thought that him drawing the lines between him and Bill Watts and his dad and, saying like, I'm going to be that kind of executive was smart.
Yeah, very clever.
And I think that also very apt. It makes you excited for this. The other thing that made me excited about it was at the very end, he said, down the road, there's going to be a reckoning between the elite and the inner circle, but that will be a match beyond. Now, the great thing about that little wink, wink is that he doesn't own the name of the War Games match. Vince does because he bought up WCW, which owned the name.
Yeah.
But his dad created that match. Dusty Rhodes created War Games. And the original tagline for it was a match beyond. So he could technically be wink, wink, saying we might have a 5-on-5 big scuffle match, maybe War Games style. Maybe he comes up with something a little different.
We'll do 3 rings.
Just as long as they're not stacked on top of each other. We're good.
Oh, God.
Right?
Oh, man. Killer stuff by Cody this week. And to follow that up, Jericho had a video package. It was just shots of like him sitting fully dressed in a bathtub with his hat on, drinking a little bit of the bubbly and squirting it out of his mouth and just, basically just this isn't even a big deal for him. It's
at a dinner table in a banquet hall and just kind of sitting there like staring off in the distance and Sammy Guevara coming up like asking like which kind of champagne they should drink and Chris Jericho's like the sound fades out and Jericho's just kind of sitting there quiet and then gets up and kisses him on the forehead and then walks off. It's very thoughtful and serious and dramatic and also just wildly funny because of course he's parodying the Cody video from a few weeks ago.
Right.
That was the same thing.
Yep.
He's got like his aunt's best friend from church talking about how he's going to kick Cody's ass at Full Gear. Yeah, no, this was cute and very, very funny. Very, very funny, Nick.
Oh,
and
I enjoyed the shit out of it.
We talk about how rarely comedy in wrestling is like good, right? I could do a whole show. We started off, the very first show we ever did was about comedy in wrestling. And we could do a whole nother show about how awful most of the time it is. And maybe because that's Vince, who has his own predilection for what humor is. He's his kind of humor is the humor of humiliation for the most part. If you look at his humor throughout the years, it's about let's make someone look like an idiot, and haha, that's funny. Whereas the stuff that's more witty, whether it's Fashion Files or something like that, it falls through the cracks. Or this, Jericho's always been a really funny guy. That was the thing that made me first love him back in WCW was he was funny. He was a little arch. He was sarcastic. The only question I have here, Nick, is this the right way to go home for a major feud is with a gag?
I think so. I think it shows that Jericho's just kind of being a dick and is
not taking it seriously.
Not taking it seriously. I don't think Cody's going to win here. I don't.
So.
I don't think Cody's going to win here, I guess is what I wanted to say, because of what he said in his own promo. But I think but he was taking it very seriously. He was tying history into it, all of that, and he's taking it very seriously as an executive of the company. Jericho, on the other hand, I love the juxtaposition of it. Is just like, it's, you know what? I beat up all these guys in Japan. I don't have to do. Cody who? I think that's what Jericho's thinking about it right now.
Except then if he beats Cody, it does really diminish Cody in that sense. So I think that, I don't know. I feel like they could have done this a week before. They should have done this a week before. I don't feel like personally, I don't feel like it's appropriate now. And on a serious note, which I guess technically they did with the ending of the show.
That's what I was going to say. The video was fine because we got what we got at the end of the show, which we'll talk about in a little bit later with everybody, right? Everybody out there.
Yeah. I mean, I love the self-aware with this video was that it was very self-aware, where you had Sammy Guevara saying that, Jericho was like a father figure to him, and also the youngest AEW champion ever at 49 as of today. It's Jericho's birthday today. Happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Chris. I'm still trying to lighten up, buddy. But that's the thing. It made Sammy Guevara seem endearing. It made Jake Hager seem endearing, where he was just sitting there staring at the camera, going, right? Like it was self-aware. It was self-mocking, self-satirical, and it was charming. Is that what you want your heel faction to be? It's charming.
To an extent, yeah. I want there to be diehard fans that live and die for the heel faction.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that made DX so awesome.
Right.
Was that they were over with their own fan base.
Or the NWO.
Or the NWO. Perfect example, right? People that loved Hulk Hogan.
Or even the Shield.
Had to just go along for the ride.
The Shield when they were heels, or, you can go down the Four Horsemen.
Sure.
Whatever.
So I think the Inner Circle establishing kind of their own niche fan base, you could kind of loosely put me in there.
I don't think loosely. I don't think just loosely.
Yeah. I love Jericho. We love Sammy. We love Jake Hager. So all this stuff, I think it's about having individual fandoms within the. It's almost like meta in a sense, where you have the big AEW fandom, and then inside of it you have pockets of fandom for all of the different characters and factions and things that are going on. That's what they're doing, everything right, in my opinion. They're kind of hitting it on all cylinders. And I can't wait to see what happens when these guys just really build a year or two's worth of storyline and history, and we have 5 or 6 sets of champions, and we have all this stuff that we can build storyline off of. Right now, it seems a little awkward because we're used to having wrestling programs that have 10 to 20 years of legacy and history and experience. And AEW's been here a month.
Well, and maybe that is helpful to them because, one of the problems with WWE is having overexposure of the matches. I've seen so-and-so versus so-and-so so many times, I don't care. Or someone's been made irrelevant, so I don't care if they come out and have a fight. Whereas now you have stuff like we had on this show, like we had Trent versus Pac, which was out of left field, and we'll get into that in a second. But I just want to put a capper on the main feuds and say that we had a match at the end of the show. It was Jericho and Sammy Guevara teaming up against Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. It was just a match. It was fine, but the big deal was at the end, as you said, Nick. It all broke down. And basically every major feud was part of a very long brawl, like 5+ minute brawl to end the show. You had Omega and Moxley facing off. You had Proud and Powerful facing off with the Young Bucks. You had everyone was out for this. Like
was it Hager and Omega, or no? It was Moxley and Omega.
Hager was
Pac.
out there. Yeah, all Pac was out there. Hangman. So everyone's out there tussling forever. You've got it goes all the way from the ring to the stage and back. Nick Jackson does a swanton off the top of the entranceway onto a pile of people. Jericho gets hit and drags a cameraman down with him. But very entertaining brawl, like way better than the NXT brawl to end last week's SmackDown, and that was a great show too.
Yeah.
But this was like, and you had lots of little moments kind of coalesce to define all the different, all these different major feuds, which of course is what you want at the end, right?
Totally.
I want to see those two guys fight. I want to see those two guys fight. So, yeah,
you basically just booked the next 6 to 8 weeks of matches for Dynamite in that 5-minute segment at the end of the show.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about 6 weeks of matches. I think that they just, left everything simmering. You lit the fire under all of these feuds, so that at the last thing you saw was all these guys are kicking the crap out of each other. What are they going to do on Saturday? Right? That's how you end. That's how you end a go home show.
Yeah.
That's
how you do a go home show.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that was a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Trent and Pac, because I do want to talk about this. It opened the show. And they gave them a while. AEW seems to be giving them about 10 to 15 minutes on their matches, as opposed to WWE, which is like 6 to 8 minutes, which is interesting. And I wonder how long that's going to hold up, because if everything is 14 minutes, I know they want to give them more to work with, but it also, I think some of these shouldn't be that long. It should be a little bit more of a variance, I think. I don't know. But this one I liked being this length. And I also like the fact that they're splitting Trent off of a tag team and letting him go out and work, because this is a guy, I think, who's really underrated for a lot of people.
Yep.
Nick, you remember when he was getting his singles push in New Japan?
I do.
And Gato was really high on him. Gato was ready to push him. Like, Gato was like, you're going heavyweight? We're going to take you places. And then it just never went anywhere. So I like this, and I like the fact that the way that this match was kind of structured was Pac basically looked like he was just better than Trent all around until Orange Cassidy distracted Pac a little bit, got his ass kicked in the process, but then Trent had a bit of a comeback and hung with Pac for a little bit before Pac finally shut him down. It's too bad the ref botched the finish because this was a really nice match. But do you think that they should be doing this where they have tag teams split off and you can use some of them as singles wrestlers against your top guys?
I prefer that over two singles guys coming together to form a tag team, like my normal hang-up, right?
I hate to break it to you. The Best Friends are two singles wrestlers.
I understand, but they have a name. They have the Best Friends, and they have a single theme song. That's the treatment, right? That's the proper way to do it, rather than trying to merge two different songs together and just announce them. Chucky T, Trent Barretta, the Best Friends. They do that. Fine.
So when was Howard Finkel part of AEW?
I don't know. I'm trying to do what's his name? Not Justin Roberts, but I can't remember his name.
That was Howard Finkel. Hold on.
So
anyway, get well soon, Fink. Get well soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, instead of like cross-fading their two theme songs back and forth really awkwardly. I loved this. I love this idea. You have a lot of tag teams here that you could split guys off of, Angelico and Jack Evans can work solo. Yeah. These two guys can work solo. For God's sake, the Lucha Brothers can work solo. So the fact that this is part of their booking strategy is great. And in this particular case, Trent, I think, does have a future as a singles wrestler. I think he's fantastic, way underrated.
Yep.
So I definitely liked this a lot. I just hope that no one remembers that he kicked out of the Black Arrow, apparently, according to the ref. Oops.
I don't know if that was intentional or not.
No, it was very much a botch.
Yeah.
Very much a ref botch. Luckily, Pac's a pro and went right into the Rings of Saturn and put him down. Or the Brutalizer, sorry.
Yeah, it's not the Rings of Saturn anymore, Ian.
Sorry. We also had Private Party and Dark Order facing off for who would get the bronze medal in the tag team tournament, whatever that means.
Okay.
It does mean that they get a triple threat shot at the new title at the show, which is really odd. Didn't we just have a tournament to determine who it was going to be, and now the finalists all get another shot at the title? I guess it's because there can only be one first, but there's like a double tap to make sure that they got the right people to be the champs.
Okay.
In kayfabe, I don't know.
Just go with it.
Fine.
They have fantastic tag teams, and the tag team wrestling in AEW has been fantastic so far. I have zero negative things to say about the tag division in AEW, period.
I have one question, because I like the fact that Private Party won. We're going to get Private Party versus SCU versus Lucha Brothers on a couple hours. So that's delicious. I love that. But what's up with Dark Order? They came in looking extremely dominant.
Yeah. We talked about this last week after the end of the tournament. Like, they came in, they won, they got the bye going into the tournament. They were kind of a shoe-in to at least be in the finals, or if not the semifinals.
When they debuted, they wrecked everybody.
Yeah.
And they got new outfits, which is good because they looked really, really cheesy before. Now it looks a little bit better. Why wouldn't they just be dominating? It's weird.
I don't know. Evil Uno is fun, but he doesn't look as dominant as he did when he first came out. I don't think it doesn't feel like they have as many of the goons, whatever they call the dark ones or whatever they are. I'd love to see those hooded guys all the way around the entire ring, almost
Minions.
like a pit of souls or something as they go around the whole ring and while they're wrestling. Just amp that whole Dark Order thing up. Just turn the dial up a little bit. Because it's a really cool gimmick. I love when they run in and Evil Uno just sits on one of their backs and all that stuff is fantastic.
There's a lot to like about it, and it's definitely one of the stranger gimmicks in AEW, possibly supernatural.
But they have to win. They have to be dominant. Otherwise,
exactly.
it's all for naught.
Who cares? Right.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to see if they figure out what's going on with the Dark Order. I don't know. Or if there's backstage something happened. I don't know. But it's definitely very strange that Dark Order so quickly was pushed down the ranks of the division. But
I have no idea.
We're getting a good match today, so I'm not too mad. We also are having Emi Sakura facing off against Riho today, and we had a tag match: Emi Sakura and Jamie Hayter versus Riho and Shana on this show. Very quick build to Emmy and Riho for their match today. This is one of the things I wanted to criticize was there could have been a lot more done. In a division, their women's division, which I already think is a little bit lackluster and they need to do more work on. This was another step in the wrong direction where you've got two women in Emmy and Riho who have a huge amount of history.
Yeah.
They have had between the two of them together, like against each other, they've had literally hundreds of matches together in their careers. They've had multiple championship matches. They're 3-3 in championship matches across all promotions. So this is a long and storied, if not rivalry, then history between them.
Yeah.
And yet we had virtually zero build. We had no storyline for that on this show. It was barely mentioned, and they couldn't even put together a video package of that. Possibly because of, rights from other promotions, but why not talk about it?
Lots I want to say here about what's going on in the women's division. I think I said last Saturday on our Saturday show, that it felt a little bit like they were scrambling to fill the ranks of the women's division in AEW. Initially, if you remember from this summer, we had all of those video packages and promos of Brandy going around and signing Britt Baker and Allie and all this other talent and everything, and we got to it, and Nyla Rose and Awesome Kong came out, and you're like, oh my God, it's getting good. And it kind of just petered out a little bit. Bea Priestley ends up giving Britt Baker a concussion. I think Britt Baker was the chosen one from the beginning, so to speak, if I had to take a guess. But her getting injured put things aside. She had a money video package this week on Bea Priestley, by the way.
Yes, she did.
But I see things that are going on, like on AEW Dark. We've got Shazza McKenzie coming in. We've got this new girl, Shauna, that came in this week. We're seeing we're seeing a lot of matches and a lot of new talent.
Jamie Hayter. Jamie
Hayter, thank you. That's the other one. It feels like it's almost like tryouts. Like we're having a lot of this. Let's see who can do the work and who can get themselves over.
But this is the problem, is that you've got the cream of the crop at the top of the women's division who can work, and then it very quickly drops down into sub-performance center ability.
Sure.
And it's a very thin division, I think, still. And they've definitely got to put in some work on that, and they've got to build some people. Riho's over, but I don't believe that she's a believable champ.
I agree with that. I identify with that.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of places for her to be in the women's division. Her as the champ, I still don't understand. I think it's because of Kenny Omega's personal history with her, and I think that blinded him to the reality of what it looks like for her to be beating these bigger people. They've tried to do their best to make it feel at least somewhat realistic, I guess. Big air quotes on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's lots of other women who they could and should build to that position. And I don't know if, having these matches that they didn't do a good build for, where there is history, but none of us know it. So you have to tell us, you know what I mean? Even the hardcore fans a lot of them don't know the history between Riho and Emi Sakura. So you've got to hold our hands a little bit on that. Otherwise we're like, all right, why should we care about this match? Because we should care. Emi Sakura is a fantastic worker. Riho's a fantastic worker. They're probably going to put on a fantastic match. But we don't care because there's no story building it up. And there has to be. You can make a story super easy. It's right there. But they have to do it. And they didn't do it. Yeah. And that's the problem.
No, they could go get all the footage and build a storyline around, just how they've had all those legendary matches and all. It'd be trivial to do a lot of that stuff. The other thing I want to throw in here real quick, though, is look, Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, you've got what's going on with Brandy and Awesome Kong. There's a lot of stuff at the top of the women's division that's really good. Where's Nyla Rose been? Pretty much, other than on Dark this week in that match with Liva Bates and Shalandra Royal and Shazza McKenzie. Shazza McKenzie's one to watch out for, though. I've had my eye on her through Rise and Stardom and other stuff that she's been doing around the world. She looked fantastic on Dark. Keep an eye out for Shazza McKenzie and follow her. She's awesome.
Next call.
Yeah. But
Tony Storm.
Not quite, but she's really good.
Love you some Aussies. Love you the Aussies.
Sure. I think that what's going on in the AEW women's division is developing. I think there's a lot of stuff at the top. There's not a lot in the middle. There's a lot of stuff at the top, a lot of stuff at the bottom. There's not a lot that can carry the workload. Yeah.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Moving on over to Shawn Spears and Brandon Cutler. They had a very quick match in contrast to every other match on the show. Shawn Spears put down Brandon pretty quick. But then he got chased off by Joey Janela, who's still he's working on getting his tongue back into shape after Shawn almost pulled it out of his face on Dark last week. Oh. So we're going to get Shawn Spears and Joey Janela on the show today as well, which should be a fun little match, and I'm looking forward to that. I like the fact that they're keeping Shawn Spears relevant. Yeah, like you were just saying, so-and-so disappeared, so-and-so disappeared. Shawn Spears didn't disappear. He's still coming out, kicking the crap out of people. And he's got look at the great entrance, right? Got Tully Blanchard there. They're keeping him relevant, keeping him simmering over on the side of the stove.
Yes.
So that's good. That was good stuff. That was AEW, their go-home show. As you said, they did have AEW Dark, Big Swole versus Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose and Leva Bates versus Shalandra Royale and Shazza McKenzie, and SCU and Shima versus the Hybrid 2 and Kip Sabian. And as you said, they did it yesterday because they had to go home. They didn't have, they had to have all of that material out plus all of the promos before the show today. So
it was almost like an NXT go home show in a way. Normally, what we used to get at least, where it was a lot of video package and refreshing of the storylines, and here's how we got here, and here's what we got to look forward to at Full Gear. That's what the Dark episode last night felt like.
Yeah. So, but it was very entertaining, as they all have been. Nick, let's run down our Full Gear pick'ems. How about that? Let's put in our picks for who's winning today.
With very little time left for people to hear these, but at least we're getting them on the record a few hours before the show.
That's the point. That's the point.
Thank you for those of you watching here live so that we can get these locked in. So, kicking things off, as we were just talking about, Shawn Spears versus Joey Janela. How do you see this playing out, Surrey and Dangerous?
I cannot imagine they're going to have Spears job to Janela.
No.
I think that part of Janela's charm is that he just doesn't win matches, and they might have him be a guy who's like a higher level guy who just doesn't win. You know what I mean? He's very capable. He doesn't win matches, but at the same time, he's a dirt bag, so you don't really care, right? He's like that's his gimmick, is he's just kind of like a scumbag, lovable scumbag. So yeah, I think Spears is picking this one up pretty decisively.
Yep, totally. I agree with that completely. Keep Shawn Spears relevant. Keep him, that opening thing with him coming out and giving Cody the chair shot, strapped rockets to his back, and then Tully Blanchard came in behind him. Holy smokes, please keep him relevant. Don't let all that work you did on him throughout the year die.
Exactly.
So, otherwise, it's completely pointless. Next up, Britt Baker versus Bea Priestley. I believe this is on the buy-in. Is the Spears-Janela match on the buy-in?
I do not know.
Okay.
I don't have that in front of me right now.
They did say Dr. Britt Baker and Bea Priestley is going to be on the buy-in.
Yes, Baker and Priestley is definitely on the pre-show. Which, by the way, this has been mentioned before, where they put like one of their women's matches on the pre-show, or the only match on the pre-show is a women's match, and it's not good. You know what I mean? Like, you want to put a pretty good match, even if it's like WWE does, right? Where even if it's, I don't really care about these two guys, from a technical standpoint, it's a good match. It's not going to be like, a schlub match.
It's a cruiserweight match, or somebody that's going to just be flippy shit, high flying all over the place and pop the crowd.
Get the audience hyped or whatever, right? Yeah. Britt Baker and Bea Priestley runs the risk. It has the possibility of being a stinker.
Yeah.
So this is dangerous, I think.
Especially if Bea kicks her in the back of the head again.
Or, drops her like, it wasn't Momo Watabe. Who she drop on her head over in Stardom last week.
I saw that and I couldn't watch it a second time.
Jesus Christ.
Come on, Bea.
Yeah. So who do you have here, man? Britt Baker. I've got Britt.
Bea Jax.
Oh, don't. Oh, that's so mean. Nia Priestley. That's
Priestley. Bea Jax.
That's just mean.
Yeah, I know.
I've got Britt here. I think they've got to.
Bea will be fine. Continue that reputation of her just being,
I could see
a dirty worker, all that stuff. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I could see Bea pulling off the win here if it was dirty, and then that gives them a little fuel for the fire going forward. It's also in the pre-show, so you don't have to have Britt win here. I think they should have Britt win, because it's a pre-show match and you want to get the audience hyped, so have the babyface win to get the audience happy.
Yes.
But they could be bold and try and go and have Bea go over and set up something down the road.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be Britt.
I
Lucha
would
Brothers,
also not be surprised if we saw a Brandy Awesome Kong interference of some sort here as well. I want to put that little asterisk in here because they've been building that for 2 or 3 weeks now, and I think we should see something manifest out of it, whether it's either in this one or the Riho and Emi Sakura match later in the show.
There you go.
To be determined.
I agree completely with you that at some point they should have that payoff. If Brandy is, giving promos like she was on the show this week and saying, well, you all, dissed me and overlooked me, I'm going to come at you with my awesome Kong and destroy you. Do it here. Well, otherwise, why have all of this stuff? Why make her seem so fired up? So I agree. Either this match or later on, there could be some interference. Lucha Brothers versus Private Party versus SCU for the tag titles. This is going to be a baller match. Who do you have here?
Who cares? It's just, it's going to be fun. Just sit back, eat some popcorn, and enjoy the spectacle that is going to be this match. I think SCU is going to retain. I don't think they're going to swap the titles a week after they crown the first ever AEW Tag Champions. SCU's retaining here. It's going to be a lights out baller match, and I'm looking down the card. I'm going Cody Jericho, Mox Omega. This could steal the show. You put Lucha Brothers and another flippy team in the ring together, and they're just going to do crazy shit. But SCU's going to retain here. They're not going to swap the titles around a weekend.
Yeah.
So
I agree completely. I can't see them taking it off of SCU this quickly. I could. They could theoretically give it to the Lucha Brothers here. I don't see Private Party picking it up. But
no.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be SCU retaining.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we've got proud LAX. It's LAX versus the Young Bucks. Again, another awesome match. We've seen these guys fight before.
Oh my God,
it's awesome. Just again, sit back and enjoy the spectacle of this match. Who cares who wins? Personally, I think the Bucks need to take this one. LAX needs to win. The Bucks need to, I don't want to say lay down for them, but we need to continue to build Inner Circle and make them look like a dominant team that can beat, i.e. the best tag team in the world in the Young Bucks, as they call themselves. And here you have LAX taking them down. And it could have some implications later for the Cody and Jericho match as well. So there's a lot of things in this match that I think are shallow undertones that I really like that affect other things as well. I think Proud and Powerful come out of this one on top.
I actually have to agree. I think the Bucks need to continue to put over people in the division at this point to make them relevant. Now, whether they do that by protecting themselves by having there be Inner Circle interference or not is irrelevant. I think Proud and Powerful need to come across looking proud and powerful in this match. So I'm sorry, if you guys are going to own a company, you got to put over some new talent. So
yeah,
I think this should be the beginning of an ongoing feud. Start it with the heels winning and looking dominant.
In their defense, the Bucks have been doing exactly that, and
so
kudos
far
to them for doing it.
Yeah, don't stop.
Yeah.
Riho versus Emi Sakura for the women's championship. Who do you have here, sir?
Again, I don't think they should toss the titles around like this, but it goes to say it could be a course correction from the lackluster response of making Riho your first ever AEW women's champion.
But she's the most over woman right now. She is the most over woman.
Is she, though?
Yeah. She gets the biggest crowd responses.
I don't know. I'm thinking Britt Baker.
She does.
I think Britt Baker, Nyla Rose get some of the biggest responses. I think the reason Riho got the response she did was because she beat the monster Nyla Rose. So
okay.
It
doesn't matter how she got it.
I understand. But she was able to take down Nyla Rose. So I want to temper things here. I don't know if Emi Sakura is the right one to put it on either. I think they're going to have a fantastic match. The chemistry between those two is going to be phenomenal. But I don't think that taking it off of Riho right now is the right thing to do. The only thing I can think of is that they need, in order to get it on Britt, they need to get it on a heel so she can take it off.
Oh, God. We're getting # Nick booking.
Yeah, here we go, right?
Your call-in match is based on what you think their booking is going to be 6 months down the road.
We got another example of how I was right this week. So we'll keep going. We'll talk about that next.
We also have an example of how I was right and you were wrong. Okay, so we'll get to that as well.
Yeah, you got one thing.
I got a pretty damn big thing. Sir.
Unfortunately, you did. Unfortunately, you did.
Yeah, so I'm picking Riho as well. So two Rihos here. We haven't disagreed yet. Pac versus Hangman Page.
Might disagree on this one.
Oh yeah, because I'm taking Pac all day.
Yeah. I'm inclined to pick Hangman Page here because there's a lot. We need one person from the elite / good guys to win. And I think Jericho's going to win. I think we're going to have a lot of the bad side, quote unquote, winning tonight. I'm thinking Hangman Page pulls out a win here because Pac looks strong regardless. The only thing that's in my head going, is that Page will be fine with the loss. I don't know if Pac would be.
Exactly.
Oh, Pac. Yeah, Pac's going to win. Pac's going to win. And here we go. The final two. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega.
Now, here's a question. Which one of these goes last? Does Cody and Jericho go last, or does Moxley and Omega go last?
Cody's easily going last. Easily.
Here's why I say that's not the case.
Oh, you think because it's dark, it's unsanctioned.
Exactly.
So it has to be last, right? They have to cut the lights out and all that shit.
And say it's after the show. It's unsanctioned.
The theatrics, right?
Yeah, the theatrics of it.
Oh, God. Okay.
At least that's what I would do if I were booking it.
You might be right, but let's just call the matches.
Right. Moxley Omega. I'm gonna say, much like Page and Pac, you've got to keep Moxley strong. Omega's already telling the story of being on a downswing. He can afford the loss. It's also going to be an unsanctioned match, which is Moxley territory. It's not what Omega's known for. So he's protected in multiple ways in storyline sense.
I don't know. Did you see that Janela match?
Even if he, you know what I mean? But he's that they were saying he's very versatile. He can even do this. Yeah. But it's also, they can easily say like, yes, he can, but this is Moxley's world.
Yeah. Omega is the spotlight, the main event, he's the big attraction kind of. This is Moxley's world, not Omega.
Right.
So
he's the technical, I can go out there with the best wrestler in the world and go toe to toe and beat him. Whereas Moxley is just, he's the brute. So that's why I'm saying like Omega can be protected in terms of storyline. You can tell a story that protects him in multiple ways. Moxley, if he straight up loses to Omega here, really damages him.
Totally. And if you think back on what's gone on in the last couple of weeks, he's gone in and yelled at Tony Khan where they were making it unsanctioned. He attacked Omega and gave him that brainbuster through the glass table backstage during the big kerfuffle. All of this stuff that has happened has built up to making Mox a bigger-than-life kind of shitty heel, right?
And as we were saying at the
now
top,
you're going to put him in a match that favors all of this stuff that he's doing. And if you don't have him win after all of that stuff, what the hell was the point? So absolutely it has to be Moxley winning this match.
Might as well stick a needle in his ass and have him come out in an ugly bomber jacket. Right. But that's the thing, is that and a gas mask. They can absolutely rehab Omega after this. It's part of the story they're telling. Yeah. Right? But you got one chance to really get Moxley over and define what he is for the company. You've got tons of time to define Omega.
Totally.
So, yeah, definitely Mox here.
Yep.
And finally, are we going to go the entire show and not disagree once? Cody versus Jericho.
Possibly. Jericho. I don't think Cody's winning here.
No, not at all. I don't think there's a chance in hell Cody picks it up here, and he shouldn't.
No.
I'm actually going to go so far as to say he should not pick it up here. Jericho should stay your champ.
Let's talk about that for 60 seconds. What does the world look like if Cody does win here? What does that do? I don't think it damages Jericho, but how does it affect all of the things that he said during his speech and all of the things we speculated about earlier about AEW in general if Cody does win the AEW championship here?
I don't know, but I know that I'll definitely be trying to get some more heat on Jericho if he loses here on Twitter. But no, I think the thing is that Cody is in a better role as the executive. As we were saying earlier, he's in a better role having other stories that don't need the belt. Jericho is 110% money with that belt. He is printing money for your company as your champion.
Le champion.
Hard stop. The man is a walking catchphrase.
Yep.
He's got one of the best wrestling minds currently working in the business, whether it's promo work, whether it's character work, whether it's in-ring work, whatever.
Whether here or Japan or anywhere,
Or anywhere. If having him at the top of your company, especially as a new company, is right where you want him to be. He's recognizable for people who have been lapsed fans for 20 years. He's charismatic enough to get over with new fans. He's doing work, especially with Inner Circle, where he's got now a faction that, as we said earlier, is getting over despite being heels. And that's going to be fine because you can have a charismatic heel faction.
Yep.
So not having him have the belt, I think, really undercuts all of that. Having Cody have the belt and not Jericho makes absolutely no sense.
None at all.
Whatsoever. I don't see any world in which you take it off of Jericho here.
No, me either. It
would be absolute insanity to do it.
Well, guys, just a quick reminder, we will be doing a watch party for the buy-in in our Facebook group. Make sure you're in there. And we will be watching or chatting live in our Discord during Full Gear here in a couple hours when things kick off. So make sure you're in all of our groups to get things going. But that's AEW, but that's not we've got a lot of show left. Let's head over and talk about what went down on NXT.
Well, Nick, I'm pretty sure I could hear your aneurysm happening from about 500,000 miles away. The OC invaded NXT this week. And say what you will about how lackluster this whole idea of an invasion angle is. It always kind of sucks every year because it's just arbitrary. We're invading because we're so proud of our brand. We're doing it for our brand.
And I loved how flippant Age and the OC was like. So, this is NXT.
Yeah, none of them went through NXT.
Right.
But that was the great thing about it was it didn't matter what that stupid invasion plot was. At the end of the day, AJ Styles and the Good Brothers were at Full Sail, and they got a match.
Oh.
Not only did they beat up the Undisputed Era on their way in, laid them out in an alleyway outside. But then they came into the ring, and as they're standing in the ring, they get challenged by Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa first, and he comes out and says, "You're in my town." And they said, "What are you going to do? It's 3-on-1." He said, he kind of stood there for a second. Keith Lee and Matt Riddle came out and stood behind him. Well, looks like we got a match, boys. And it was made official. We had a 3-on-3 match. The OC versus Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and Tommaso Ciampa. And Nick, I'm gonna take a step back here because this match tickled all of my tendons. What did you think about this little piece of work?
The match itself was totally fantastic. It was just awesome. That's not what I want to talk about though.
Okay. Well,
there's
we
part
have
of
to talk
me
about
at
that
the
first.
opening of NXT when the OC was standing in the ring after we saw the video of them beating up Undisputed Era before the show outside. There was part of me that expected to see who we ultimately saw come out at the beginning of the show when they were standing in the ring.
Right.
And I think that would have been a bigger moment, but I think it worked better having it at the end because it told a lot of things, right?
Right.
In case you lived under a rock this week and did not see the end of NXT, patrons, I'm looking directly at you guys. You guys know what happened in Nick's fantasy booking this year. And while there was not a lot of details that I put uber amounts of detail into mine, like the Joker face paint and the dubstep music and all that stuff, right? One of the things that I called that it would be we would have a return of the Prince Devitt character and joining the phenomenal ones, as I called them. Now we know them as the OC. And this week, at the end of the match, we had Finn Balor come out in the middle of the main event at NXT.
Straight shooter, real rock and roller.
And basically, he beat up was it Matt Riddle that he beat up outside the ring? I don't even remember. All I remember is that shot of him and AJ staring at each other.
You were too high.
I was on my feet, just this was my face. If you're watching on YouTube,
He spiked DDT. He gave him like a elevated DDT, Matt Riddle, on the
and
ramp.
just stands up outside the ring, stares at AJ Styles in the middle of the ring. AJ throws up the double two sweet, and Finn Balor looks at him and points the rock and roller pistols at him. And I went, oh, it's happening.
I could hear Nick screaming like a little girl during this segment. So here's the thing. Yeah, that was a great moment. I think it was just a little fan service tease. If it was more than that, if it becomes more than that, I will be definitely tickled pink. And I think that if that doesn't tickle you just a little bit, you're dead inside.
Or you just don't know your New Japan Bullet Club history. That's
right,
fine. Go watch.
Even if you don't, those two guys, like, I mean, the match they had in WWE was great, but yeah, the history alone is beautiful. That being said, I want to talk about that match too, because you've got the OC in the house, and all of a sudden now we see what those three guys can do as a unit. And granted, a lot of it was, working a hot tag was the centerpiece of this match. That was one of the most molten hot tags.
Yeah, that Matt Riddle hot tag was absurd.
They worked over Ciampa for a while, and when Matt Riddle finally came in and went on an absolute warpath on all three members of the OC for like 3 minutes, like cardio, like brotons and knees everywhere. Then the place was insane. They worked that hot tag up to a fever pitch. My God, that was entertaining. And the other spot of the match that I fell off my couch for was when Keith Lee pounced AJ Styles into Drake Wirtz, and Wirtz took a ref bump greater than any ref bump I've seen in years. It was like he got shot. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
You would too if a 400-pound man threw a 200-pound man into you.
It was like a train wreck. Oh, it was beautiful. It was so wildly entertaining, this match. What a great main event.
Yeah.
Shots fired, AEW. Shots fired. They definitely. Well, now what's crazy is why. I mean, I understand storyline wise why they didn't, but why not advertise? If you're in a Wednesday night war, if you're trying to win that ratings war, why not advertise? Someone big is coming. OC's coming. They kind of did where they said, oh, the invasion might come to NXT. But, dude, I guarantee right now, and we'll get into this at the end of the show, we talk ratings, it was real close this week. Like, it was virtually a tie.
Yeah.
The ratings.
And I think that's the way it's going to be. I think once the dust settles of the madness of the nuclear explosion of wrestling from October, I think once that dust settles, especially going into the holidays, especially now that the World Series is over, we're back into our rhythm of it's football season. We've got football Sundays and Thursdays, but Wednesdays are wide open.
Yeah.
So once that settles, we'll talk about other rating stuff later, but
yeah,
I think it's fine.
But at least have something, maybe even like a clip on YouTube or something where AJ and the OC are like, you coming to our house, we're coming to your house. Have them say it at the end of Raw, like a quick promo package. You don't even have to announce it. Just have it be out there. Oh, shit, I think the OC's coming to NXT. And they would have won this week. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, had USA and Fox been running that spot Monday and Tuesday nights or whatever, Monday Night Football or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
OC might be coming to NXT. Forget it. People are totally going to go check that out. And they should have, because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
They had I know. Great
My
show
favorite thing that happened this week because reasons. I can't imagine why.
Can't imagine why. It was all a good show besides that, too. We had the rematch, Pete Dunne versus Damian Priest. In this particular instance, Pete Dunne got his payment back and low-blowed Damian Priest and won the match. So now they're 1-for-1 with the low-blow matches. We know they both will go down low, down dirty, down lower than Damian Priest's voice. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that feud continuing, except that after the match, Killian Dane came out and got involved again and beat them both up. Damian Priest tried to beat him. It was madness. Are we going for a triple threat here? What's the idea with Dane? Because that's a very odd three people.
I don't know. He's not this is not the only people that Killian Dane's been messing with either. He was messing with Matt Riddle there for a while, and it's
Tyler Bate.
Bate, yeah. So
weird.
I'm kind of okay with Killian Dane just being this rogue figure that just keeps interrupting and just like don't put him in matches. This is kind of what to draw. This is kind of what the Fiend should have been. Just show up, beat the hell out of people, screw shit up, and then disappear. So I like having a figure like this in wrestling that is just does whatever the hell he wants, and it throws back to his sanity roots with just chaos. And they just right and just throwing all of that. They would just show up. So I like Dane doing this stuff. Where does it lead? Don't know. Don't care right now. Just keep doing what he's doing.
And I'm loving Pete Dunne and Damian Priest fighting and coming to draws and going dirty on each other.
I think I even sent you a text that said, I love Pete Dunne during that match.
So say we all. Yes. I don't feel the same way about Tainara, no longer Tainara Conti, because I think they're like, no one wants to pronounce that T.
Is it Conti or Conchi or?
Conti. Yeah, it's like a Brazilian pronunciation for Conti.
Right. The Portuguese pronunciation.
Yeah, right, which I can't even pull off right. So they changed it to Tainara. Right. Before Vince could do it for her, there's like, we'll just do it. She came out and had a match with Santana Garrett.
Hello,
Santana Garrett. How are you?
Welcome to NXT.
Yes. It was funny because this was a tale of two matches, like two matches within one match.
Okay.
Where like in some parts of this match, it looked great, and Tainara was throwing Santana around and doing all these great like judo holds and transitions that looked fantastic on the mat. And then for some reason at one point, like it was like they both just forgot where they were and went to slow motion, and it was ugly as hell. Like it just became a totally different match. It was like, oh right, they are still learning how to wrestle. Or at least
that's why they call this the Performance Center, right? There's a reason that exists so that they can teach them a lot of this stuff.
I feel like Tainara's been on that cusp for a while. She has learned. She has improved. I can say that from having seen her, like, when she started, she has improved. She's no longer doing the stupid tongue thing. Her facials are getting better. She's looking more crisp in the ring. But obviously, there's still some holes in her game, obviously. Hopefully they don't see her and call her up too soon.
Yeah.
A la Dana Brooke and Lacey Evans. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And welcome to NXT Santana Garrett. So
yeah, absolutely welcome Santana, and I agree. I think Tainara is getting a lot better. She's doing a lot out there on social to build her presence and her profile and all that kind of stuff. So I think she's got a lot of potential.
What is she doing on social that's building her presence besides a bunch of booty shots?
No comment.
Is that that's working for you? She's building my presence.
No, I think anybody look. The reason a lot of these women are over is because they're constantly posting things, and not just the women, the men too. The reason a lot of social media has become a prerequisite. Constant posting, constant interaction with the fans, constant extensions of kayfabe and storyline and challenges and everything onto social media. It's been that way for years now, right?
Yes.
So when I see someone begin to continue to post and do all of these kinds of things on social media, I see the building of a presence, and if that transcends into her having more time on TV in the ring, so be it. I don't care whether it's booty shots or whether it's Becky Lynch calling somebody out. It's constantly posting stuff and being visible and present within the hashtags and the communities and the archetypes of social media. So if she's building that presence out there, then fine. But I'm seeing Tainara Conti's name out there a lot more than I was 6 to 8 months ago, and now I'm starting to see her on TV regularly. So
right. It's a very, very eloquent, fancy way of saying she's got dumps like a truck, and she's putting it out there, and people are seeing it, and she's growing her media presence.
Yes.
Also, speaking of the women's division, we had some big news afoot with the first ever women's War Games match. We're trying to figure out who's going to be on the teams. We got 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. Both teams looking to fill out that final member. Both teams looking for people who will be in that slot. The Conti and Santana Garrett match was billed as auditioning for the final slots in the women's teams. We also had Dakota Kai saying she wanted to prove herself to join Rhea Ripley's team. She was going to go out and face her old nemesis Shayna Baszler, which she did.
How'd that work out for you, Dakota?
Yeah, same result. What's the definition of insanity?
Yeah.
Here's the question. So Kai loses.
Yep.
Gets beat up. Rhea's team comes out to save her from all of Shayna's team. Big woman scuffle. And who should come out to make the save but Mia Yim with a kendo stick, wielding a kendo stick, how you wield a kendo stick. That is how you hit people with a kendo stick.
Like a helicopter.
She was
Just keep going.
laying into the ladies with that kendo stick. Good.
Can we have
Lord.
Io Shirai and Mia Yim in a kendo stick match?
No, someone gonna die. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. That's like a Singapore death match right there.
Oh God. What's that Muay
but
Thai stick boxing they do in like Vietnam and stuff with they just hit each other with the sticks constantly? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking of when I think about just the kendo sticks going constantly. Anyway.
I don't know. Okay. But at any rate,
from
yeah.
Rambo 2 at the beginning when he was there. Yeah.
Oh, well, they must do it in Thailand then, of course. How did
He was in Vietnam.
Rambo,
I think.
I mean, what a wonderful documentary on Vietnam, Rambo 2.
Oh God.
So anyway, we had this match end up with Mia Yim saving everybody, and backstage Rhea Ripley says, "Well, I'm going to have Mia Yim on my team now because look at her, she's a badass." And sorry, Dakota, you're out. And everyone kind of like sadly looks at Dakota, and Dakota goes, "It's all right. I understand." And she leaves, and that's very sad.
Yeah.
Here's the question: what happens now with Dakota Kai? Is she going to turn heel and join Shayna's team because Shayna's still looking for that fourth member? It's going to be a big surprise on the day of War Games.
No.
Is she going to come out and save everyone during War Games? What's the arc here going with Dakota Kai? This is really interesting that this is how they're playing it. I like the choice of Mia Yim in this match.
Totally.
But what's happening with Dakota?
I have no idea. I don't think she's getting in. No.
You don't think she's going to turn heel?
No.
She has every reason to from like a heel standpoint.
Why, after she's beaten her down constantly, why would Shayna Baszler bring in Dakota Kai to join the team? I don't think so.
To psychologically damage the other team? She's already got, as she said.
I can see Candice LeRae doing something like that before Dakota Kai.
No. Yeah. No, not the way they've been portraying her. Absolutely not. All right. Well, you wait and see, Nick. When Dakota Kai turns heel, you can come back to me and we'll talk about #Nick booking.
I never know whether Ian has looked up spoilers or not, for the record. So
nothing's been recorded. There is no spoilers for me to look up.
I understand. Just giving you shit.
Number of times I've been correct on my predictions. When was the last time you won a pick'ems at a pay-per-view? Just out of curiosity.
Am I getting my spoilers? Finn Balor walked out to join the OC this week.
Am I getting my spoilers on these pay-per-views from somewhere? Or is it just my mind? My mind. Right here.
We're 1-1 with WrestleManias, so rubber match.
WrestleManias.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's all.
Moving on.
Rubber match 2020 WrestleMania.
Angel Garza. Let's talk about a man's package. Angel Garza had a match with Tony Nese, and this was a lot of fun. It was a #1 contenders match with the Cruiserweight Championship. My God, these guys balled out. In the case of Angel Garza, literally.
I loved the beginning. Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought.
You know, at some point the pants.
Hope you guys enjoyed the side-by-side Colin Farrell and Angel Garza meme I made this week. That was a lot of fun. This match, I liked the beginning. The first 5 minutes of it was where they were just kind of testing out, feeling out, counting abs, doing all that stuff. The theatrics of them getting started. I really enjoyed this, and then they just went nuts. And I had a blast watching this match.
Same here.
I think it's interesting. I would not have expected Angel Garza to put down former Cruiserweight champion Tony Nese like 3-4 months ago, to put Angel Garza over into a spot to be the #1 contender, but it did. He did.
Yeah. The thing with Nese that's interesting is he's very much a utility where he's got the charisma of a sweat sock.
Yeah.
But the guy is an absolutely incredible wrestler, and he's capable. I mean, he can go out there and, his personality is, I have 8 abs. That's his personality.
Right.
Okay. So, you're Chris Masters, only small with longer hair.
Right.
It's not a great gimmick, but the guy balls out in wrestling. And he and Garza did here, whether, granted, you did have the one kind of goofy spot where Nese wouldn't let Garza do his pants rip, but then Garza's pants are like half off, and Nese tries to powerbomb off the top rope, and he powerbombs a pair of pants.
Morrow had the call of the year.
Yeah,
that man just powerbombed a pair of pants.
And Garza's sitting up there, his glorious Garza dong in full view.
Oh,
yes, that's
God.
right. Angel Garza, the man who's never heard of a small package. And And they had a fantastic match. I think it's very apropos that he goes through Tony Nese to show that he's legit on the way to Leo Rush. And they even had a little bit with Leo Rush at the end where they met at the top of the ramp and Leo went for the handshake and Angel Garza smiled and slapped him across the face, walked away. And Leo just kind of smiled at it. He's like, all right, that's how it's going to be. I loved it. I loved it. A lot of fun. Yeah, good. Angel Garza, Leo Rush, give it to me.
Yes.
I'm all about it.
Day long. Finally, we have to talk about Dijak.
Donovan Dijakovic.
Dijak versus Killshot.
Swerve Scott.
Was this a dream match? Like, the idea that we had this crossover Dijak versus Killshot? Like,
I was very curious what the thought process behind this was because it seems like Dijak is being diverted away from War Games or he's being held in reserve in case Velveteen Dream doesn't get healthy in time. Right? That's kind of my speculative feeling on what's happening here. Dijak, from a storyline standpoint, can be inserted into the War Games match, and it will work, but they want Dream in the match. And because Dream is the one with the history with the Undisputed Era, bigger crowd, favorite. So ideally, you'd have Dream fill in that final slot in the men's team in the War Games match, but we got to keep Dijak in people's memory, so we have him beat Swerve Scott, who, by the way, Swerve Scott's getting over with this crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they knew him from before, which you should. He was Evolve champ. He was, Lucha Underground, all the places you should know him from. But he's getting over here, and this match made him look great, even in defeat. Like he looked like he was toe-to-toeing Dijak. So, yeah, another very fun match. Nothing really to write home about, but some interesting spots and good work by both guys.
Ultimately, he eats a nasty. It's a GTS, but feast your eyes, I guess is what he calls that. It's a fireman's carry into a. It's a GTS. He knees him in the face. Face.
Kind of. It's that, but he flips him over from a fireman's carry instead of throwing him over his head onto the knee.
Right. Anyway, lands that Swerve Scott.
It's like an AA knee strike or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. I think he calls it the feast your eyes.
He calls it the feast your eyes.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yep.
So good stuff this week on NXT to counterpoint the good stuff on AEW. Wednesday night, we just balled out this week. It was so freaking entertaining on Wednesday, Nick, that it actually pains me. It pains me, Nick, that we have to do this next segment because the main roster of WWE has really been pretty trash lately, and that didn't change over on SmackDown.
From Manchester.
Oh God!
What is going on?
Was that supposed to be a Manchester accent? Was that a Manc accent there?
Hang on. Let's not get tighter. Let's not get wrapped around the axle on how terrible my accents are. How are you going to fly the SmackDown roster from Saudi Arabia to Buffalo to the UK in 2 weeks? Like, who's making these travel plans?
It's so weird because I remember saying when they were originally in Saudi Arabia and we were looking at the schedule, we're like, wait, they got to be in Saudi Arabia on Thursday and do SmackDown on Friday. And I said, well, maybe they're going to do like an England show. I remember hearing they were going to do like a UK tour around that time. And I said, well, it would make sense to go from Saudi Arabia to England and do a SmackDown in England. No, they did the Saudi Arabia show, flew them to New York, or tried to, were late, missed the show.
Failed miserably doing so.
Failed because, it was a stupid idea. And then a week later, they fly them back to Manchester. What? What was this? What kind of planning was this? Did they think the Saudi Arabia show was going to be this week? And so they were planning like all these slots last year in advance and it just didn't work out?
Maybe they were using one of those justfly.com websites where you get super cheap tickets, but you have to jump through like 5 different hubs or something, and they found this route.
You're $1 billion company. Figure it out. What the hell, man? Oh, that's just cruel.
Cheaptickets.com for WWE.
I mean, these poor wrestlers must have no idea, and the whole staff, like the whole crew, they must not know their assholes from their elbows at this point. They've got to be so just jet lagged and oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh, so maybe they're trying to get him home for Halloween, but that didn't work out either. did it.
No.
My God. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But anyway, all right. So
let's not split hairs. This show sucked.
there were.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we got to go prep for AEW Full Rod Full Gear.
Full Gear.
Okay.
God, damn it. We can't even be mad at I can't. The Manchester audience was really. I mean, they were dead.
Yeah.
Like they were worse than Long Island dead.
When they start doing their footy chants, their soccer chants, like, hey baby, I want to know if you be my. When they start doing that, you're like, okay, they've checked out. They always
do that to Bailey. But they usually do it loud. This time they're like, it's kind of like half asleep. Bailey, I want to know. Ooh, like it wasn't loud or meaning. Like there were no big chants. There was like a couple of big pops ish, but I can't blame them. This show was terrible. You open with Baron Corbin coming out and giving one of the worst opening promos on a show I can remember. Like not from a technical standpoint. The guy pulled off the script he was given. But mother of God, what a piece of crap this was.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. Oh God, he came out and started, by putting over Roman Reigns and saying he's a role model because he beat cancer. But I feel like the big dog has lost his bark is worse than his bite. Here, let me show you how. And he's got the stupid, computer graphic of the big pit bull dog thing up on the screen, and it's overdubbed with a chihuahua barking, and it goes on forever. It keeps barking, and he's just laughing, like, oh, did you listen to it? Like, to hear it? Oh, my God.
And then he has dog poop bags saying that if you want to keep Roman around, that's fine, but you're going to have to pick up his poop.
Little dog poop. Vince!
It's good shit.
No.
Literally.
No, Vince.
This is
not
awful.
Good shit. Killed the audience dead. Like these
to
jokes.
Start the show. This is what you're going to open with.
These jokes went over like a fart in church. This was terrible. Oh my God. I
look back to 48 hours prior to the AEW Dynamite and NXT live episodes that we got on Wednesday night, and I went from there to this. And I went,
and you know what's
that
funny?
is a perfect example of why AEW exists in the first place. It was so perfect.
Nail on the head. It was so bad. I didn't even have it in my notes at this point. It's way down further because I didn't want to talk about it right now, but I couldn't help myself. That Corbin opening was just, as they say in France, hoot garbage. What the big thing about the show was the NXT invasion, quote unquote, continued. But the way that they were spinning it was, well, NXT isn't really going to mess with us now because we're back to full strength.
So by NXT invasion, you mean Shayna Baszler showed up again?
Shayna Baszler showed up and laid out Bayley after Sasha beat Nikki Cross in a meaningless match. We had Sasha versus Nikki. She taps out Nikki. Nikki's the hometown. Her first ever match on the main roster was in Manchester. She's Scottish. So, Manchester's up north, so you probably have some people coming down from Scotland for the show. So you've got people who want to cheer Nikki. Nope. Got to beat her in front of the hometown crowd. Silences the whole damn crowd again. Shayna comes out, beats up Bayley really quickly, gives her the exact same move she gave her last time. Why not? Why make things different? Why make things interesting? Nope, same thing, and then runs off. That's it. Which by the way, we said Bayley has to get one over on Shayna Baszler, so why do that? Why not do the total opposite and make Bayley look like a goon again? Yep. Great. And then the other quote-unquote NXT invasion was Heavy Machinery coming down like they were going to have a match, and they get attacked by all 4 members of Imperium, including freaking Walter. They get attacked for 30 seconds. All the low mid-card guys come down the ramp and chase them off. Imperium's there for maybe 30 seconds, and then they run off into the crowd, and that's it.
Yeah, didn't have any time to explain. No, oh my God, it's Imperium!
They said Walter
who's
once.
Imperium?
Like, oh, look, it's Walt. Yeah. Oh, look, it's Walter. Oh, and there he's gone. Why
no time in the ring, no mic time, nothing to explain to the crowd who these people are.
Now, hopefully, because they've got Imperium on the main roster and they teased it, they're planning on doing something on Raw. That I'm hoping that's the case. I haven't looked at the spoilers. I know they're out there. I'm trying to keep myself pure.
Yes.
I have heard negative things about the Raw spoilers. I've heard bad things.
Just in case you don't know, they did double record both SmackDown and Raw yesterday, earlier in the day in Manchester. So Raw is already out there. Spoiler alert. Be on the lookout.
Careful.
Yeah.
So, should they have done more than just run-ins on this to make a quote-unquote NXT invasion? Because the line they were preaching all night was, SmackDown's back to full strength. NXT wouldn't dare come after us now. Well, that makes NXT look like goobers because they can't handle a full roster. They came out and looked like stars last week, and this week you're burying them. That's dumb.
It's exactly at that moment that you march the entire NXT roster out there and you take over. And so if they had said something like that as a setup to trigger NXT just exploding, but you've also said you don't want to see the entire NXT roster doing backroom brawls and all that kind of, and taking over shows and things like that. Though last Friday, what everybody touted was one of the more amazing SmackDowns we'd seen because of all of the NXT interaction on there. So I agree. But, if you look at, if we talk about ratings, they were up. Even from last week, they were up.
Because everyone expected there to be more interesting stuff. And they got this instead. So they're going to get burned.
When SmackDown debuted on Fox, I think they hit a 2.8 million number. They hit a 2.6 million number this week, up from last week even. And what they got to see, what those 2.6 million people got to see, was Baron Corbin talking about picking up dog poop and some crazy, European guys chasing other people through with no idea of who they were.
Yep. Yep. And they got to see Sasha Banks' new music, Nick.
Which was actually,
did you know that it's really good? Did you know she's Snoop Dogg's cousin?
Yeah. In case you weren't aware.
Yeah. Did you know, Nick?
I did. Yeah.
Also, Becky and Seth are dating. In case you didn't know.
Oh my God.
I know. That's what it's a thing.
Didn't they get engaged now too?
I don't know. I was trying to make a joke.
All right.
So I wanted to make a joke, Nick, because I wanted to get you in a nice, happy place before we talked about this next thing.
Oh God.
And I don't know, Nick. We knew that there was going to be a tag team title match on SmackDown. In fact, we talked about it on our last episode. Do you have that queued up by any chance?
I do, unfortunately. And this was my punishment because I said what I said. So to eat some crow, I'm going to play back for you guys right now what was said last week.
Here's the one thing, though, I might spoil it for you, Nick.
What's that?
Friday Night SmackDown this week, there's a tag team match between the Revival and the New Day.
Oh, no.
New Day could take the titles from Revival. It could be the New Day turn themselves into this. I mean,
don't you put that on me,
match.
Ricky Bobby.
That's still a really good match. Right?
Yeah, but it's not I want the Revival. I've seen the New Day in everything for the last 6 years. I want some Revival love, especially against War Machine. Come on, guys. Let it happen.
Wrestling me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just going to change my picture out to the cat
for you,
meme.
but I'm helping you brace yourself in case it happens.
That ain't going to happen.
I
don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, Nick, never say never. Never say never. Brace yourself,
I'm not saying never. I said I don't think that's going to happen.
I didn't think that you could have Brock Lesnar beaten up by Ray.
So yeah, I am saying I said never say never for the record.
You said never say never. You did.
Right.
You did.
And
you
I
did
said I don't
caveat.
think that should or is going to happen.
I said get ready for it.
But I was wrong.
I said get ready for it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it did happen. Of course it did.
Son of a bitch.
Of course it happened. Of course it happened. Of course it happened. You
had War Machine versus the Revival. And you cocked it up.
All right, Nick, let me talk you off the ledge here because this is why I knew they were going to do this. This is why as soon as I saw this, I was like, that's because here's the thing. It makes sense to have it be New Day. No, it doesn't. Now, it's unfortunate that it's at the expense of the Revival But if it's Revival,
because fuck the Revival, right?
well, that too.
Sorry,
that too,
F-bomb
yes.
there. I was quoting the Young Bucks.
FTR. Yes, but you've got the Viking Raiders, you've got Undisputed Era, and you have the Revival. That's a whole lot of dudes who are very recently NXT. And have not, frankly, really gotten over on the main roster. Revival, not that over. Viking Raiders, people know about them, but they're not hugely over.
Granted, they're not the 7-time tag team champions, but they've now had both tag team championships in this year. Tell me they're
Doesn't
not that
matter.
over.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
The audience doesn't care about them that much. The main roster audience does not care about them as much as they do care about New Day. New Day is a known factor. They're going to bring a different. If you put New Day you plug New Day into this three-way match, it's a whole different look at the match. And let's be clear, Nick, New Day can go with these guys. It's not like New Day's a hack team. They're a fantastic team. This is still going to be a great match. It's not what you wanted. You wanted your boys, the Revival, in this.
No, I didn't want some cheap give back to Kofi for his 6-second shitty loss to Brock Lesnar, which is all this is.
This wasn't a give back. This was actually to make this triple threat a better match.
I mean,
that being said, this does underline just how dirty they did Kofi. It really does, because hey, Kofi, what did they say on commentary when they won the belts, when New Day won the belts and Kofi's got the belts? Like, oh, this must make Kofi feel better after he's got to feel good after what he's been through recently, or whatever it was.
No, Corey called out after his loss, and they had video packages of it for other things. So
what? How does it make him feel better? He's back to being a mid-card tag guy. I feel so much better. I'm back to throwing pancakes and having unicorns on my shirt and being a mid-card comedy guy.
Jester of WWE.
I was the top dude for a little bit, and then I got punked out to the real top guy, and now I'm kicked back down to where I belong, just like Jinder Mahal. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it is.
Except Kofi can actually wrestle. That's a great example of what 3 years ago what happened.
You were utilitarian. We used you for what you were at the time.
Oh God.
And then once we're done with you, go back where you deserve to be.
Oh.
It shows their mentality on him. It shows how stupid we were to actually believe in him and believe in them during that time. And the entire time we were waiting for this shoe to drop, we're like, oh, when are they going to pull it away from Kofi? When are they going to? They can't possibly really believe in Kofi. This isn't. They don't genuinely believe the story that they're telling us. Nope, they don't. Yep, saw it. Okay, there it is. Lost to Brock in 6 seconds. Get back down where you were, Kofi. Get back to dancing. Get back to dancing. Make the crowd happy. Just be happy to be here. God. Gross. The Revival not having it. Do you think that that's legitimately just because they want New Day in this match to give some variety to it, to have the main roster be part of this match, to have like more of a hook for the main roster crowd? Or do you think that it's also punishment because Dash Wilder was one of the people that was tweeting stuff on that plane in Saudi Arabia?
I didn't know that. I didn't know Dash was part of it. I knew Carl Anderson had done something, Baron Corbin, several others. I didn't hear that Dash had said anything.
Dash was one of them.
Okay, then fine. If he said something controversial and Vince was like, "All right, screw you. I'm going to yank the titles off of you, and you don't get your triple threat match anymore at Survivor Series. Congratulations, loudmouth."
It's wild speculation on my part. I think that it's a business decision based on the New Day being more appropriate to have in this match, but just couldn't help but think about how vindictive WWE is, and how dirty they do the Revival so often. Like,
had they spun it in the way that the legacy of the 6-time, now 7-time tag team champions, and that SmackDown wanted to put their best foot forward, had they somehow spun it in that way, not burying the Revival in the process, I could have gotten on board with that.
You think this was a burial? The Revival did look fairly competitive out there.
WWE is fine. Every match the Revival's ever had, they've looked competitive. They're one of the best tag teams currently working right now. And I don't understand how they've been completely trivialized to made to look like dirtbags in the WWE. I don't understand. I don't understand. Now, that said, yes, now you have the seven-time tag team champions. Get it right, crowds, when they zoom in on you. Oh, whatever city we're in, And that's one of my favorite parts is when the New Day comes out. You can see the people stammering around trying to go, say 7 times! It's fine. Are the New Day going to be fine in this match? Absolutely they're going to be. It's going to make it just as good, if not better, than the Revival being in there. But you had Revival versus War Machine, and you messed up, dude. You just messed up.
Hashtag #wrestling. We also had a few other things on the show that were messed up. Tyson Fury, who probably got one of the biggest pops on the show because,
Can't imagine why.
He's British.
Right.
Certainly not for his views on women. He came out and had a WWE moment and said, had a great match with Braun Strowman.
Yep.
It was really fun. Braun Strowman came out and said, what do you want to say to me? And Tyson Fury said, hey, we're great. Let's be a tag team. And Braun said, no one will be dumb enough to face us. Oh, yeah, no, we got guys in the back who are that dumb. It's B-Team.
I love Bo Dallas.
Here comes
Can I just say
B-Team.
that?
Here comes B-Team to come out and get squashed by these two guys. Sure enough, knockout punch, running power slam. Braun and Tyson stand tall. Yay.
From Nicholas, the 12-year-old, to Tyson Fury, the championship boxer.
It's more of Braun being booked as an attraction. He's the new Big Show. He's the new Big Show. I'm completely 100% convinced of it at this point. He is the new Big Show. And Tyson Fury got a little bit more love from WWE. Obviously, the relationship there is very solid. He'll probably come back at some point. I have no doubt. Maybe after doing a couple more matches in boxing, if he is still the heavyweight champion, lineal or not. And that was the one thing that got that crowd kind of excited. But it certainly wasn't the Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin match, which they did get excited by the end of this match because both these guys are good enough workers. They can work up a crowd and get them excited for a match. They did actually get excited at the end. Rudolph kept interfering. By Rudolph, I don't
Corbin
mean the
got a little help
Rainbow.
from his friends, you could say.
Yep. And ends up giving Roman an end of days to end the show on a downer. Roman getting beaten clean in the middle of the ring by Baron Corbin after that awesome promo that Corbin gave at the top of the show. Oh, I'm so glad that he got rewarded, and the crowd was too. They were not happy about that, and the show went out to almost no crowd noise.
Yeah.
So is this kind of booking going to hurt Corbin long term, where he's got goons helping him all the time, and he comes out and he gives promos that just die to the audience, and then comes out and has matches where he wins? And look, from a fundamental standpoint, they're booking him the way they should book a heel, but it's just there's aspects of it that are, I think, screwing him up. Do you know what I'm saying?
You just said fundamentals, and that really triggered something in my head. Baron Corbin has all of the fundamentals. He has all of the pieces to be great. He has all of those character traits and abilities and size and genetics and athletic ability. He has all of the fundamentals down to be a fantastic WWE or other superstar. I just don't think he's gotten in. The Constable Corbin thing was about as close as we've seen them almost land the plane on Baron Corbin. So I think the King of the Ring thing is an interesting experiment as well because it loosely aligns to that. But it still feels like whoever's writing his promos for him is missing the mark. And they haven't found the thing yet for Baron Corbin to be. And so when they find that and it all clicks, it's going to be interesting to see and look back on these last 3 to 5 years of the comeuppance of Baron Corbin, because I think he does have a ton of potential. I just don't think they've hit it yet.
I think they could do more with the King of the Ring stuff. King Booker, he went all in with it. Everything was King related. And with Corbin, he's coming out in the cape and the hat, and fine, at least it's a little bit more in keeping with his character that it's black and brown, and it's not just the big garish Burger King colors. But he could do more with being the king, right? Besides calling the audience his subjects. Besides that, are there some sort of executive powers the King of the Ring gets? Like, does he get to call his own matches? Something like that, where he could
give him his constable power,
or not
GM,
even that much, not even that much, but like something where that gives him a certain amount of power, and he can then use that and say, well, I'm the king, so I get this, right? Have it mean something beyond just he gets to come out in a dumb costume.
Sure. Have him be wheeled around in a throne, or
whatever.
Have him come out in the middle of matches and just say, stop, this is boring. You guys don't get to wrestle anymore, and bring out 2 new people and they start a match,
or whatever.
Stuff like that, where he not is performing, but he's interfering with other matches. I think I've said that from the beginning. That's the kind of things I want to see the King doing, especially King Corbin. I want to see him meddle, not actually have matches and feuds and stories. I just want to see the King rule and meddle in shit,
Just be a dick and send his goons in. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could see an argument both ways for that. I mean, because the guy can work, and this was a match that did actually get a very, very lackadaisical crowd worked up a bit by the end, even though once it finished, they were all kind of like, oh, okay, well, never mind.
I'll say this.
sorry for caring.
Is Roman the biggest guy that's taken that end of days? Because Roman's about 270, if I remember right.
Yeah, he barely took it. Took it.
I mean, he took it, but it looked all right. That's a big boy coming in at full speed for a spear, and you hook him and swing him around like that. I mean, kudos to Baron for swinging that one around.
Baron's a big boy, too.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, that was that. Rudolph was there. They're back to being goons. So now are they the Mercury and Noble, or are they the Singh brothers for Baron Corbin? Like, I know this trope's been going on for decades and decades, but like, are we gonna have Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler be the 2 goons for Baron Corbin now? Is that the booking we're going back into? And is Roman back to the top of the card, like it's all about Roman again?
How far Bobby Roode has fallen. I mean, look at all of the other NXT champions, right? Look at Finn Balor, look at Seth Rollins, look at Kevin Owens, look at Sami Zayn, look at Shinsuke. They're all just doing fantastic, except for Kevin. We don't know where Kevin is. And then look at Bobby Roode. Drew McIntyre, the one that took the title off of Bobby Roode. Look at Drew McIntyre, having fantastic matches, just coming back from injury. Absolute beast. And what's Bobby Roode doing?
Yep. Probably the most underutilized NXT champ on the main roster. Even Neville had a run with the belts, like a cruiserweight belt. He was the top of the cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sami Zayn. Sorry, Sami Zayn's probably the most underutilized. Except that he's not really. Like, he's got this new thing going where he's kind of forming a bit of a stable-y kind of thing.
I'm kind of digging what Sami Zayn's doing. He's going a little brain over there, and he's building a little stable.
It's a waste to not have this guy wrestle because he's such a goddamn good wrestler. But I like him being a little bit of mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Bobby the Brain Heenan, starting up, working with Shinsuke, trying to recruit Daniel Bryan.
Cesaro as well.
Who still hasn't said a word. Yeah, I like a Shinsuke Cesaro stable. That's all good stuff. They had a match against Ali and Chad Gable. I refuse to call him by the name that WWE's calling him by right now. They had Daniel Bryan watch the match from the ramp, and sure enough, Shinsuke and Cesaro, with a little help from their friend Sammy, ended up beating Ali and Gable. And backstage, Sammy basically was like, hey, Daniel, see what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, the lights go out, the red lights come up, Sammy bolts the hell out of there because the Fiend attacks Daniel Bryan. And that was, Bray on Twitter basically said, yeah, I'm getting revenge against people, and that's why Daniel Bryan was number 3.
For what?
Daniel betrayed him back in the day in the cage match, right? He left the Wyatt family.
Oh my God. Holy smokes. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But they also, I think that's Bray retconning. I think they were like, why don't we have you attack Daniel Bryan? And Bray's like, okay, let me make sense of this on Twitter for everybody.
So here's the
thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing that's in my head. This is kind of what I wanted the Fiend to be doing all along anyway. So I'm not that mad at it, but I think you've already committed by putting the Fisher-Price Universal title on him. And you can't just do that anymore. He's got to look like a legit top wrestler now because you put the Universal Championship on him. So you can't have it both ways. That's what I'm struggling with. You're doing what I wanted you to do, but you didn't keep it in your pants long enough.
Nope.
Oh,
But the thing is, he's got the belt now, and he's another champ who's barely ever going to defend the damn belt. I mean, I'm all for the belts, not like I don't want the belts to change hands all the time, like they did in the Attitude Era. You don't have to like shuffle the belts around, but at least put him on somebody who's going to come out and talk about how they have the belt and give it prestige and not just he didn't have the belt. He attacked Daniel Bryan, didn't have the belt on him because of course why would he have the belt on him? Because the belt's irrelevant to them. He shouldn't have to care. We're going down the rabbit hole.
Never got it in the first place.
We've been down this. I'm interested to see where this all goes. Daniel Bryan's being tempted by Sammy. Now he's being attacked by The Fiend. He seems like he might be going into an IC feud with Shinsuke, which would be beautiful.
Yes,
not sure what that all means. This was the most intriguing part of the show to me. I liked this a lot.
Yeah.
So very curious what they do.
I want to know where it goes from here.
I want to know. And finally on SmackDown, Carmella and Dana Brooke beat Fire and Desire, which of course is Sonya Deville and Mandy. And as a result, Carmella and Dana Brooke will be on Sasha Banks' Survivor Series women's team. Was this the right decision? Should it have been Carmella and Dana instead of Fire and Desire on the Survivor Series team?
Can I take Dana and Sonya?
Yeah.
I mean, because look, Dana's come along.
You didn't have to have this be a tag match. This didn't have to be. This
right. It could have been a four-way.
Choose women. Yeah.
Right. Something else that's not a tag match. But I get it. Timing, all that stuff. Look, Dana Brooke is looking a lot better. I like she is very obviously committed in 2019 to improving and growing and all of that stuff. And she's done phenomenally well. And you could see some of the work coming out in this match, even as short as it was. But at the same time, I want to be able to see more work out of some of these ladies before we commit to them. Oh, they're just on the Survivor Series match. What? Who are they?
But that's the problem with highlighting, 4 women at most, and then all of a sudden you have all these other. When every time you want to have something like this happen, you all of a sudden have to build up the other women and say, see, they're actually something too. They're here, and the audience is like, yeah, I guess we kind of know that they exist.
We have no reason to care.
We have no reason to care. Like it's all of a sudden next week if you have Becky versus Sarah Logan. Honestly, audience ain't going to give a shit because you didn't do anything to build Sarah Logan. You could have had her come out in some of these matches, or Liv Morgan, whatever the heck happened to her. You could be building them, but you're not. And then it comes to situations like this, and you're like, who do we give Becky after WrestleMania? I don't know, Lacey Evans. You just have to pull out of nowhere. Who should we get after that? Natalya. Why not Natalya? And the crowd is like, we don't care about Natalya. You've made us not care about Natalya.
Yeah.
We don't care about Natalya. Well, she can beat Asuka. Look, she's going to tap out Asuka. Why is she tapping out Asuka? That makes no sense. Why is Natalya tapping out Asuka, a woman who can beat Becky Lynch? Why? What is the hashtag WWE logic?
Yep.
And I'm done talking about SmackDown, Nick.
Yep.
I'm done.
Terrible SmackDown.
Just terrible. Just terrible.
Whoever wrote that show was a knucklehead.
Terrible.
It was just terrible. Well, guys, that's our show. Oh, God, no! We're not done yet. We've got just enough time for our other news lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
Not a big one today, just a couple of little notes. AEW beat NXT in the ratings this Wednesday. As we mentioned earlier, it was 822,000 with a 0.35 to 813,000 with a 0.30. That's pretty much a tie.
Is this people that are watching it at the same time just channel flipping back and forth with the last channel button?
Quite possible. But so the interesting thing here that I found is there's virtually a tie, right? Virtually a tie across everything, except 35 to 49-year-olds.
Oh.
NXT dominated.
Oh, okay.
Like AEW killed it on the younger demo, but like specifically the demo that came back to NXT this week that AEW didn't recoup from last week where they both went way down.
Yeah.
NXT significantly recouped in the 35 to 49-year-old.
Yep. I'm in that demo and I watched AEW.
No, that's
not true. I watched both of them on Thursday, right? But fair dues, I'll say I have cable and I DVR'd both of them. So to the ratings, it thinks I watched both of them.
Right.
And that's the interesting anomaly and why ratings are bullshit. Is because you can just record them on your DVR and never watch them, and the ratings will say that you were a viewer and the advertisee has to get paid.
And you know what? That's what matters to the TV station. And right now, NXT is more at risk there because they're more expensive for USA than AEW is. AEW is a bargain for TNT. So as far as TNT is concerned, we would assume they're very happy with AEW, especially if they peak around 8 to 1 million. That's, great, cool. That's fantastic. Making some good money. Yep. NXT, they've got to pick up that game. They've got to start showing that they can beat the other show on at the same time slot at the very least. Yep. So that's why it's important. But getting a little closer now. We'll see what happens when they don't tease the NXT, the main roster invasion to NXT. See if that holds up. See if people come back to AEW after Full Gear. If it's a dip after their pay-per-view or if it comes back up. Should be curious. Obviously, week to week doesn't really matter. It's the long-term patterns you have to look at.
I'm interested to see if this 822 number that they pull on Dynamite translates into pay-per-view buys tonight.
That's going to be the real tell. This is their first pay-per-view since they had TV.
Yeah.
So if this pay-per-view bombs, and that arena, by the way, was about a third empty that they were in already. So, there's definitely some questions still out there about AWE. Update on the Laparca injury. He has been moved out of the intensive care unit, and he has movement in his arms and legs. So that's actually all looking very good after that nasty bump he took diving to the outside in a match. So Laparca looks like he is getting a little bit better on the mend. As always, best wishes to Laparca. Get well soon.
Yep.
To continue with the injuries, Buddy Murphy is working through an injury. He was apparently injured during his match with Cedric Alexander this last week, but worked through it. Apparently it's minor. Alexa Bliss has had a shoulder issue. She should be cleared very soon. Obviously, Sasha Banks was injured, had a minor injury ever since her Hell in a Cell match. She was cleared this week, hence why she had the match. But that's why she's been out, just hanging out with Bayley. And Xavier Woods, he is out till at least summer of 2020 with that Achilles tendon. That's poor guy.
Achilles are no joke, guys. That's he may not wrestle again with that one. If he's out this long, he may be done.
I loved his tweet where he said licensed medical professional Booker T said he'll probably never wrestle again.
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope he does wrestle again. For many obvious reasons. Randy Orton. Randy. Oh, Randy. He has been teasing for the last couple of months that he is interested in AEW, could possibly shift over there. You never know. The Viper,
Him and the Revival are taking off. We're going to take our ball and go home.
We're going to go to AEW. Apparently it was all a negotiating tactic. He just re-signed with WWE for 5 years.
Of course he did. He's not going anywhere. Anybody that thought that Cowboy Bob Orton's son, who's spent the last 20 years in WWE, was going to go anywhere else was out of your damn mind.
Randall, Kennedy, Kenneth, Kerfuffle, Kardashian, Orton was going anywhere else. Not going to happen. Another 5 years with his home, WWE. Although I have to say, I was fantasizing about the matches he could have in AEW. That would have been pretty insane. The Colognes, however, are not re-signing. Looks like they're on their way out. According to Savio Vega, they're finishing up their tenure there and are having fun wrestling in Puerto Rico. And they're probably going to head back down there where there's a thriving wrestling scene.
Good
Lord knows the WWE wasn't using them for shit.
Good for them.
And that was not a colon joke. And finally, Sami Callihan versus Tessa Blanchard is official for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship at their next pay-per-view, Hard to Kill. That's going to happen. Tessa Blanchard challenging for the championship. It's too early. You can't flip it onto her from here, and if she loses, I don't know. I think it's too soon, but I'm so excited to see it. Sammy versus Tessa. It's happening again.
For all the marbles.
For all the marbles this time. And that is the news.
Oh, thank you very much, Sir Ian Dangerous, for the news. And thank you guys for hanging out with this show. We got to wrap this up and get our patron mailbag episode done before Full Gear. So we're going to get out of this one, but don't go anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll be right back with a new stream for our patron mailbag where we answer all the listener questions. And if you'd like to get in on some of that, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those, just the $5 reward tier is all you really need. You get access to show notes and the ability to ask listener questions every single week for our patron mailbag on Saturdays that we also live stream right here on YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. and every Saturday at 3 p.m. on Saturdays, Eastern times. There we go. So make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/bustedwideopen and jingle that little notification bell so you get alerts and notifications every time we put up new content. And you want to be in our Facebook discussion group tonight during Full Gear. We'll be having a Facebook watch party where we can all watch and chat about the buy-in pre-show live. Then we'll transition over to our Discord community to have a live chat for the entirety of the show tonight for Full Gear. So make sure you're both in our Facebook group and our Discord community. It's where all the action happens behind the scenes. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast, but YouTube is where you want to be for sure. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We're on the race to 1,000 subscribers, and if we can get there by the end of the year, we've got a special little surprise for you that we'll tell you about when we get there. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.